Welcome to the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group fitness brands, Ellende Werd. Here we grow.
Welcome, everybody, to Confessions. I'm here with Nicole once again. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, good to be back. Thank you.
I know. I'm so excited. It's good to see you again. Not quite as nice as it was seeing you a couple weeks ago. That was better.
That was definitely better, but this is good. But if you guys see Ellen's reels and all the stuff that we shared when we were in Cancun, the views to work out were just amazing. And the experience in general of our first retreat was unbelievable. And I'm going next year.
I know. So it was so exciting. So before we kind of just ooh and ah about the retreat together, let's let people know we're actually going to be talking about perimenopause and menopause. And I've never actually ever really talked about it publicly, like my experience with my hormones and my age. I don't know if I've been a little embarrassed or I don't know why, but I'm kind of looking forward to the opportunity to letting the world know where I'm at in this stage and age of my life. And also, one more thing, if you're watching the video, I'm probably going to end up podcasting a little bit in the dark because I'm just kind of sitting here. My house is being remodeled, which is exciting. I just gave Nicole a tour and showed her my really cool kitchen appliances.
Looks great.
Thank you. So I'm sitting in a weird spot, and you can see my living room behind me and all the plants I'm trying to keep alive. Doing pretty good.
I don't even try anymore.
Dude, I'm finally getting a little tiny bit better at it. I really love having plants. You don't try? I love having plants.
I mean, it would definitely be beneficial in my life, I think, but I have cats and so I haven't
Yeah.
they're just destructive and so they, knock the shit over and all
They
that.
do.
So,
They knock them over and they chew on them and then they throw up, it makes them
yeah.
a lot of them make them sick. So that's been a struggle too over here. But
Yeah.
um anyway, yeah, we just got back from Cancun. It was Warrior's first retreat and I just loved it.
Same. I loved it a whole big bunch. It was amazing.
I
Really amazing.
think I liked the workouts the best part.
They were great, but also just spending time with the warriors and even the resort was amazing. And yeah, I mean, I think if I was to prioritize and say what was my favorite, I think it would have been the workouts.
Me too. Just because you don't get to experience that anything. I've never experienced that before. Particularly cycle. Just it was just wild that we could be up overlooking the ocean like that with those
Yeah.
wild. But all of it, just all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of us.
Yeah, it was great. It was wonderful. And I can't wait to do it again.
I know you brought your daughter.
I did. Yes. And I think she said she'd come again.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
I know I want to go to the same place. I want to do everything the same except a couple things a little tiny bit better. I mean, I don't think anything didn't go perfectly. Although it was a tiny bit windy and rainy, but
Mhm.
I've learned that that was a little bit atypical. So we should be in the safe, that should be like post hurricane season. So I think either that same week or the following week is really a good time of year to go. But I think I've already figured out a way to manage the certifications in such a way that would maximize like pool and vacation time for people a little bit better than we did this year, being the first stab at trying to do four certifications in 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah, I really did. I really like had a kind of an epiphany after of a way in which I could schedule things for that would even economize that even more, which means more pool time.
That'd
Um,
be great.
yeah. So anyway, should we dive in?
Sure.
Usually we're
Sounds,
chattier.
what's that?
Usually we're chattier.
Yeah. I know. We are chattier, but yeah, I mean, Waves was great. We can't say it enough. People
I
have to
know.
go to experience it. So,
Mhm. Okay, so let's talk about perimenopause and menopause. Do you want me to go first with what kind of my experience, or do you want to dive in first?
well, I think we could start by just defining
Finding
the
it?
two phrases,
Okay,
right?
go.
Defining it. So perimenopause, and don't mind me as I look at my notes, but I'll just get the exact wording. Perimenopause is the transition phase leading up to menopause. It's when your hormones, especially estrogen and progesterone, but I should point out that your ovaries, women's ovaries also produce testosterone, just not in the amounts that men produce testosterone. So these hormones start to fluctuate wildly because the ovaries are declining in productivity. And it should be noted that, I just said it, women also produce testosterone. So just think of it as the body's like warm up to menopause. So it's very much unpredictable during this time. And that's why like so many women's experiences are very different. Um, and menopause, on the other hand, is actually a specific day that you don't know when it's going to come. So it's kind of an interesting way to medically look at something. We don't really look at other things this way, I don't think. But anyway, menopause is one specific day, and it's not a day that you know is coming. It's like when it's been a year since your last menstrual cycle. So if it's been 9 months, you've had no menstrual cycle, and then you get it, then you're not in menopause. Like you start over. You don't count another 3 months or anything like that. You start entirely over. You're not in menopause yet. You're in perimenopause still. And so just to clarify, just for the purposes of this discussion, when maybe Ellen or I are talking about our experiences, I personally am now in menopause, and I've been in menopause for a year and a half. So it was June 2024 that was the year since my last period. So
See, I know.
June 2024 is when menopause began. It doesn't begin on the day of your last period. It begins a year from the day of your last period.
I've also heard it never actually ends. Like people will refer like back when I went through menopause, but it's actually just the state you are in for the rest of your life.
Oh, that's true. Yes, because we're not going
Not
backwards.
going back. The other thing is, I guess I not argue, but it makes me, I know that you're right about that whole year thing. Because I had a friend that kept like getting a period after like 11 months, and she's like, darn it, I have to start over again. It's just like, um, and I just feel like it is though when you have no more eggs, you have no more because we're born with a finite amount of eggs, unlike men who replenish their sperm, hourly or whatever it is, daily, every second. I don't know how often
Yeah.
sperm are replenished. I don't know,
And
but
we don't technically run out of eggs. They just no longer mature and release.
oh, oh, I thought we were born with a finite amount.
We are born with a finite amount
Oh,
of
but at a
eggs.
certain point, they don't run out. They just stop being like,
Growing. They stop becoming follicles. The
got
technical term is
it.
they stop becoming like there's no more of a follicular phase. They just stop. Yeah. So they just so we never know when we're gonna run out, but and we do have a finite, but it's not like once you have gotten rid of your, 100,000th egg or whatever, then you're done. It's that they don't get released anymore because they stop getting into that phase that they can get released anymore. So you will still have eggs that have not matured.
Mhm. I am not in menopause, by that definition. I am somewhere in the perimenopause phase. And I'll tell you sort of how, and then I would like to hear what your experience was like, but kind of like I wasn't even really sure if and when perimenopause was happening. It's it's still a little unclear to me given my symptoms, which seem to be atypical. So so I'm like having a hard time even thinking about when to backdate this. So I'll tell you when I started to think something something is a little bit off in me, and it was pretty recently, like maybe last year. I This is when I started to notice. Now with hindsight and more education, now I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I was going crazy in my 30s and in my 40s. So now I feel different. Now I don't know. I think things started changing in my 30s, 40s. It's one of the reasons I want to have this conversation with you, and one of the reasons I want to start talking about it, because I think I have a voice and we can empower or educate or help women become aware, and then maybe they can get help that they need and should get. So for me, I never had these hot flashes that women would talk about where they would just like, oh, like they just want to, they're profusing sweat, or like, one of my friends would like lay a towel on her bed at night because the hot flashes at night her sweat would soak to the mattress. So she would lay a towel down every night and have to, after a hot flash, replace that towel. And, a lot of women would just talk about these overwhelming hot flashes. And I was having more of like, I would feel overwhelmingly hot, like I'm gonna combust, but it would be like all night long. And
Okay.
my husband would even say like he would say you're spewing BTUs. Like he could feel the heat. He could feel the heat. Normally I'm freezing. I have a low blood pressure. I have like hardly a pulse. I'm always the cold one in the room. I'm always cold. I'm always cold. So it's very unusual that I would just be like uncomfortably hot, not sweaty, not a little bit
Mm.
of sweat, not a little glow, nothing, but I would just be like uncomfortably hot all night long, agitated. Um, I found myself feeling kind of chronically irritated and annoyed with people that I love and people that weren't doing anything that warranted provoking my irritation. And I could objectively see that. Like I was having to have conversations with myself about like, whoa, simmer down, like change your tone, be more gracious. You're being such a bitch. I just
Mhm.
into a raging bitch. Um, so I found like I didn't have my normal tolerance or reserve filters rather. And what else? I think those were the irritability. Oh, I was having difficulty sleeping, and it was related to the heat. I was like having trouble sleeping, and that's actually what brought me to the brink of like I want to talk to a doctor about. So okay, so pause. I was gonna go my IUD. I'm just gonna be graphic and talk about not graphic. I'm not gonna be graphic, but I'm gonna be transparent. Uh, I use an IUD for birth control. So it's hard to know if you get your period. It's totally hard to know if you get your period, if you have an IUD, because you don't bleed. So
Okay.
I would always know that I was getting my period. I mean, sometimes there might be like one little tiny speck of blood, maybe. But I would always know I was getting my period because the migraines were hellacious for anywhere from 3 to 10 days. My gut was a disaster, meaning I would get a bunch of diarrhea. And this is irrespective of you fixing my gut, because you fixed my gut. You
Yes, thank
you
you.
fixed my gut, but you were no match for my uterus when it was time to menstruate. I would be like bloated and it would just, you could, ugh, just tummy ache, nausea, cramping, um, irritability, cry. I bawl my, when I get my period, I'm always like, like crying about everything and anything would make me cry. So I didn't always bleed, but I was still believing to have a period every 3.5 weeks or so. And then when I started to not be able to sleep, which is so important to me, and I'm a pretty good sleeper, I found myself feeling like I was going crazy. I found the irritability then was like 10x because I also was tired. Um, I just so I needed to go to the doctor, sorry, to get my IUD replaced because it was 7 years or whatever. It was like time to get it fixed. So when I went in, that's when I had the conversation with her about my OB about switching the IUD, but can we talk about hormone replacement? I've been hearing all about it because it's like all the topic. It's like all the buzz today. Everyone's talking about it, which is wonderful because no one used to talk about it. Okay, so I'll pause my story there before I start talking about how she intervened and what we decided to do. I'll pause there. You go.
Okay, so women most commonly, well, first of all, my experience is, even though everyone's different, with the hot flashes and our body temperatures, because I think we've talked about this, like we don't sweat, like
Yeah.
sweating is like we don't sweat a lot, and that's not necessarily a good thing. It's a convenient thing, but it's not necessarily a good thing. Just because it could mean that your liver isn't detoxing well. We have that in common. We have migraines in common, and migraines are definitely, I would say, almost assuredly an issue with detoxification. Like there's some buildup of something that is triggering.
Mhm.
And for everybody, it's what triggers is different. So I had similar experience with hot flashes. I didn't really have them. I do know that caffeine is known to trigger them. And the few that I had in perimenopause, I don't get them now and I hardly ever got them, but the few that I had was connected to me having a cup of coffee. So like I
Oh,
know that. And I didn't get one every single time I had a cup of coffee. Um, I do find now that I'm in menopause that my body temperature is a little bit higher, and I welcome that because I've been
yeah.
cold my entire life.
Yes.
So yeah, so I'm like really happy. I'm still cold, like right now. I'm sitting here, I'm cold. It's a very, very cold day in New Jersey and it's raining. It's horrible. It's like a 28-degree day, like, and raining and wet and awful. So anyway, I've been cold all day and I'm cold now. But the other similar thing that I had to you is the headaches. I always experienced headaches along with my cycle. However, they weren't migraines until
Oh, yeah.
that's when I kind of, in hindsight, recognized that I was again, in hindsight, that was a symptom of perimenopause when I would randomly get these migraines. I didn't connect it at the time until menopause happened. And now I get them like every month almost. It's almost like clockwork. So I don't have a cycle anymore, but I get
My God.
migraines almost every month. So it's just strange and it's annoying. Migraines are very terrible. And I know we spent time on another podcast talking about it, but the
And
most,
in Cancun, we had a day together after everybody left. Nicole and Diva and I were still there, and we had a little time to chat. And we were just like for like 3 hours, like about migraine, because it's like you meeting someone that shares an affliction. It's like I don't like to talk about migraines. I don't like to really talk. I don't like to complain. I don't like
yeah,
no one cares. No one wants to know. I don't mention it. But like when you meet someone who knows and really knows, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
So it was
it's
comforting.
amazing. It's
But
good. It's in a good way because you can trade. I
it
mean,
just feels so validating and yeah,
exactly. And then you learn things from other people.
right.
But hot flashes and night sweats are among the absolutely most common. Like 80 to 85% of women do experience them as their most
Okay.
troublesome symptoms.
Okay.
Sleep disturbances. I did notice as I was in perimenopause, but I just didn't think about it, but I knew my sleep was changing, and I knew that was because I was getting older. So as progesterone decreases, it affects how well you can relax and just even how deeply you can sleep. It affects what's called GABA,
Yeah.
that is a neurotransmitter that's produced in the brain and helps you relax. And so as progesterone decreases, so does GABA. So there are supplements that can help with sleep. It's not just melatonin, it's not just, chamomile tea. And so there are real strategies that you can use, to just help your sleep. There's just lifestyle strategies that are like, because that's most women complain hot flashes, night sweats, and sleep disturbances. And of course, if you have night sweats, you're going to have sleep disturbances,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So, and your body temperature has to be a particular degree of comfort and coolness
Yeah,
to
like
sleep.
yeah, like you actually get into your deepest sleep if your body temperature can cool by 3 degrees. And
Yes.
our temperature, my temperature was like ramping up instead of cooling down.
Yes. So that's another reason why people who do exercise later
Have a hard time.
may have more trouble sleeping. And that's because in order to sleep, in order to fall asleep, your body temperature has to
So
decrease.
you said the main afflictions are the hot flashes, the night sweats, the sleep disturbances. You don't think irritability is up there and related to
Oh,
all of that?
irritability is there. It's just not as common.
Oh,
Irritability is definitely there. Brain fog, trouble
oh
focusing,
yeah,
but then,
brain fog. Brain fog was definitely happening for me, for sure.
but also
Definitely.
and sorry to cut you off, but notice that if you're going to be irritable if you're not sleeping.
Yeah. Right. So
So
exactly. I wasn't sure if that was the hormones that were making me irritable or the lack of sleep. Probably both.
exactly, probably both. So sorry, I cut you off about the brain
Well,
fog, but go
that,
on.
and then also there's this other thing. There's another thing that I do want to bring up. There's also this sense of, for me, but I think this is going to be relatable for women and generally in our age group. There's this like really, really, really starting to become more and more and more who you are and comfortable with yourself as you go through your 40s. It happens. Like I see it time after time after time after time with women kind of like just figuring out who they are in the world and what they like and don't like about themselves and just kind of becoming themselves so much more profoundly. And so I think along with that, unrelated to these hormone changes, unrelated, I think you develop boundaries, you set boundaries more, you prune relationships more. You become not selfish, but you handle your self-care more when you're, you know, as you mature,
Mhm,
compared to like, I will just speak for myself, but I do think this is relatable for people. But compared to when I was in my 20s and just said yes to everyone all the time, every second, yes,
mhm.
yes, 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 I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, of course, yes, yes, I'll go. To now, it's like, no, no, thank you.
Yeah,
And
you have to say no to things that you realize as you get older, like what's more important and what relationships are important. And if you say yes to things, then you have to say no, like you're just not allowing for time you can't say yes to everything. And if you say yes to something, you're automatically saying no to something else.
yes. So I think part of what was happening in my life was when I was talking about being irritable might not have been all hormones, but also just me kind of being like, I don't tolerate this, that, and the other. I no longer am okay with X, Y, and Z. And so I didn't really think like, oh, I'm having these hormonal reactions to things. I'm just different now. Like I know what I want. I don't take bullshit.
Mm.
I have more boundaries. I have a thicker skin. But now in hindsight, again, I think it was also tempered with hormonal changes too, because yeah, I felt a lot of irritability. Um, I felt like an inferno every once in a while at night, and could not sleep. And so so anyway, back to my little going to the doctor. I needed a new IUD because it was no longer working. I'm still getting my period. I didn't want, I was starting to have breakthrough bleeding because my IUD was 7 years old. So I talked to her about what I was experiencing. She did want to do labs. She did want to rule out some things, which you'll know more about, and maybe you should hijack the conversation in a second about the labs. But she did want to rule out thyroid issues that can mimic some of the similar symptoms of perimenopause. Also like my age, just doing the math. I'm at an age where I probably am going to start do the math. I should be having these symptoms because I turned 50 last year. And then I was having the brain fog. Okay, so she decided to do the labs to make sure there was not some things going on with my heart also, and to make sure there was some things not going on with my thyroid. And then she started me with A, replacing my IUD, which was progesterone, which was giving me progesterone back. And by the way, you didn't mention this, but I do believe women experience some hair loss due to
Mhm.
due to the plummeting progesterone in their body. So
Yes, hair loss is common.
hair loss is up there too. So
Yeah.
my progesterone, whereas some people take it topically or maybe even orally, mine is through the IUD, getting progesterone, which does protect like the uterus. It does protect from estrogenic cancers, which
Mhm.
you can touch on. But so we did that. Then she prescribed the estradiol patch. And the first one she gave me was like this big, the size of a baseball, and it was like white like a baseball. And I was like, I don't want it to look like that. Can't I have a little tiny one? So I got her to switch it to a little tiny clear one. So you can't really see it on my skin. You
I
can,
know. You showed me yours, and you
yeah.
showed it to me, and I couldn't see it. Granted, you're covered in tattoos, but I think it might even hide on
No.
a skin tone
Yeah, it would
even
hide.
more.
It's just, yeah, even more. Yeah, you're right, even more. So I like that I have to change it twice a week. And I really felt, I think she said it would take about 3 weeks to notice any changes in some of the things I was complaining about. And then I think I noticed relief earlier than that. Like a week or so in, I felt less irritable, less brain fog, better sleep. Also, back on the brain fog note, and a lot of our audience knows this because I talk about it a lot, but I also started I very consistently taking creatine, and I increased from being consistent with 5 grams a day to 10. And so it's hard for me to know if the hormone replacement therapy or the creatine supplementation has diminished my brain fog, but I have almost zero brain fog. I don't even think I have brain fog anymore. Beyond a normal person. I don't walk into a room wondering why I'm there. I don't pause and say, what was I saying? I used to say that all the time. What was I saying? What was I saying? I heard myself saying that. Diva's calling. Let me dismiss. I heard myself all the time saying, what was I talking about? What was I saying? What was I saying? And I don't really hear myself saying that anymore. Now that I said that on the podcast, I'll probably say it, but
Same.
Murphy's Law. But I don't know if that was the creatine or the supplements or both. So that's where my hormone replacement therapy, and Dr. Mark Hyman calls it hormone optimization therapy, and the acronym is HOT, and I like that better.
I
So
love
that's
that.
where I started my HOT therapy. And I'll put a pin in it because it's not done because I continued on that journey, but I wanted to throw back to you. Did you want to talk about the labs or anything like that, or what you started to do for your HOT therapy?
Oh yeah. So, and again, and I'll just keep coming back to it that as Ellen and I talk about this, it's like everybody's situation is unique.
Yeah.
What works for me or what works for Ellen won't necessarily work for you. And so just bear that in mind, but feel free to go to your general practitioner with any questions, as a result from our conversation or from anything.
Yeah.
So I did notice a difference so I started HRT back in May, and bringing it back around to headaches because we were trying to manage the headaches. I don't think the HRT has changed that situation, to be honest, at this point, but the sleep improved immediately. Gut health, I know for sure improved immediately because estrogen and gut health are directly related. So and then there's the bone density benefits of it. So, I'm going to stay on it for now because it's helping me. Although I did go on it for the migraine situation, and I don't think at this point it's helped, but I think the farther I get into menopause, maybe I'll have less of a reaction to whatever. I don't know. Again, we've talked migraines to death,
I
and
know.
so anyway.
Wait, so say a little bit, tiny bit more about the connection between estrogen and the gut.
Yeah, so
I don't
estrogen
think I
does,
really knew that.
yeah, so estrogen does affect your
Oh,
gut microbiome.
that's why when I would get my period, my gut was a disaster, of course.
Yes, and there's actually a number of like compounded reasons.
Mhm.
So estrogen, in addition to actually literally affecting the bacteria in your gut, it also acts in the way that it pulls water from your cells. And so notice, ladies, that like on your first day of your period, or maybe your second day of your period, you're going to the bathroom a lot. When you go through perimenopause or menopause, you may then, as a result of less estrogen, become constipated, which you never were before. And that's a direct result of less estrogen, of declining estrogen levels. Now, that's not the only thing that's going to cause constipation. So if you're constipated for other reasons, then you go through menopause, it could get worse. So you're going to want to like just nip that in the bud as soon as possible. But just like with anything else, I would recommend a whole food diet. Of course, there's things that will help you, but we don't want to use anything unnatural to kind of encourage peristalsis. We want peristalsis, and that's the movement of
It's the
food through
muscle
your,
contraction.
yeah, that's the muscular
Bowel.
contractions that have to happen naturally. And you know when they happen naturally? When you're actually not eating. That's why
They happen when I drink my cup of coffee.
yeah, they do happen when you drink your, because caffeine, it does so many things that helps the body. It does so many things that helps natural processes of the body. Like it increases your heart rate, and that helps peristalsis, and increases your body temperature, and all these things help get you a better workout. And so caffeine is for sure going to help. But there's other ways, like there's things that we do that we don't realize we're doing that is causing us to hold on to water or to decrease peristalsis. So peristalsis happens when we're actually not eating. So if you don't take a break from eating, like if you're a grazer throughout the day, those muscular contractions don't have a chance to happen. They happen, but not as effectively as if you take a few hour break from consuming food. So that's really important. And then of course you're fasting overnight, but that's one of the reasons mainly why we have most of the time our movement in the morning is because we're not eating at night. Peristalsis is continuing. And so, that's just important to note that if you do struggle with constipation and you are a grazer, one way I would recommend that you kind of can use a lifestyle strategy that costs you nothing is change that habit of grazing. Just kind of try to stick to 3 meals a day. Of course, increase your water, increase your fiber. But we can't talk about declining estrogen levels without talking about constipation and gut health.
But speaking of fluid and estrogen, one way I've heard it put is estrogen makes us juicy. So one other complaint that a lot of women have is having dry vajayjays, dry skin in general, just
Dry eyes.
dry eyes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and to address that, I mean, there are over-the-counter things that you can buy that may have questionable ingredients in them for down there. That's not juicy anymore. But coconut oil is something that my gynecologist, who she's really not a naturopath in any way, she's very much a conventional doctor, but she's like I've had a relationship with her for 25 years. And so she's kind of the way she runs her practice is old school. She she has an hour with her patient. Like it is me and it is her for an hour. We sit and we talk. Like it's amazing. And she takes no insurance. And that's the difference right there. She takes no insurance. So my labs go through insurance, but when I sit and talk to her, I pay out of pocket and then I submit that to my insurance and my insurance reimburses me. So I still get reimbursed from insurance, not 100%, because of course she's not in network for anyone, but just giving you a little bit of background for your own, like when you talk to your provider, you should be able to have a conversation with your provider. So that's really important. Like just if you think in your mind, like, well, my doctor wouldn't talk about this, or my doctor doesn't know about this, or Ellen had a good resource to recommend about finding a doctor in
Yeah,
this realm.
let's both talk about that. So I didn't go to a general practitioner. I went to a OBGYN. I heard on one of the podcasts that you and I love to listen to that the Menopause Society, that's the name of the organization, it's literally menopause.org. If you just Google menopause.org, you can find a list of providers that have this special credential with their medical license that means they are schooled in specifically in menopause and perimenopause because not all doctors are. Hence, really, the elephant in the room that Nicole and I didn't really talk about is just how far we've come. And I'm so glad, I'm so happy for my daughter that when she gets to this phase of life, there's going to be so much education and information because there certainly wasn't for my mom. And, I never heard anyone talk about it ever until like Shalene a few years ago. And then it still wasn't like she talked about it. And I was like, well, I'm not in that phase of life. And then, and now everyone's talking about it, which is kind of wonderful because it
Yeah.
destigmatizes it. It takes kind of the power out of it for me to hear so many people talking about it today. I just associated it with getting older. And so it had kind of a negative for me, I guess maybe why I shied away from talking about it or even wanting to admit to myself that these changes are actually happening. I think it's because I want to see myself and feel young. And I was associating these words with being older, and they are. But it's this where I am, and it's something I have to accept is this aging process, and we're all it's not avoidable. We can't escape it. And so just to embrace it, to accept it, and to be as healthy as I can during this transition. But so anyway, I looked up menopause on that menopause.org. It will come up when you put that in your search engine, the Menopause Society, and you can search for providers by your zip code or whatever. And you know what? There was only like one in Eugene, Oregon. Like
Wow.
that's not very many. And so I went to her. Anyway, you go.
Yeah.
You had a
So, so I was saying about my doctor, it's when I say like my doctor, even though I don't even have a general practitioner, my doctor is my gynecologist, my
oh,
OBGYN.
she's everything. She's just your
She's everything to me. She's everything to me.
doctor.
And God help me when she retires, although she has a younger sister, so I'm going to go to her younger sister and she's an OBGYN. They're not obstetricians anymore. They actually hung up that they're not delivering babies anymore. They're just a gynecologist. But she's the one who recommended to me, well, first of all, the HRT. Like I said, I've had a relationship with her for decades. So it was like,
H.O.T.
yes, HOT, hormone
This is
optimization therapy.
optimizing our
I
hormones.
love it. Which you might have stumbled across a title for this
I know.
podcast.
We should call it Hot Girls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hot girls
Um,
talk HRT. Okay, go.
And then, so that is the doctor who recommended, because we kind of touched upon the dryness and the estrogen makes us juicy, that coconut oil is antimicrobial and it is fantastic to use down there.
Stop it. I didn't know. Of course it is.
Who knew? But of course it
Coconut
is.
oil.
Come on now.
Oh man.
So simple, so inexpensive,
Listeners, you
and
just got your money's worth, even though the podcast is free. There
that's
you
it.
go.
You're
Coconut
welcome.
oil. Tootie booty. She's like, coconut
Yep.
oil.
Yeah, there you go. I've got a cat meowing in the back too.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. My doctors all did retire. So in case anyone's listening, like I'm having to, going through things and changing and needing medical and they've all retired. So I'm just opposite of Nicole, who's been with the same person for 25 years. I'm having to start with people that know nothing about me. And that's tough. That's tough. So
Yeah.
okay.
But think of how much more you know now that you know what to look for now in that person that you found 20 years ago. You would not be looking for the same person anymore.
Nope, that's right. And you know what? Thank goodness for podcasts. And I don't want to sound like egotistical or something, but I just feel like I have like a wealth of education from brilliant podcasters and doctors that I listen
Mhm.
to and functional nutritionists. And I do sometimes feel like I know more than the doctor, you know what I'm saying? About
Mhm.
things, which I shouldn't feel like that, but sometimes I do. And so, I went in pretty armed. So with what I wanted. So my next phase of becoming a hot girl at 50, my next
I love it.
my next phase was wanting to take testosterone. So I wanted to have my labs done again anyway, now that I had started the progesterone estrogen combination, I wanted to check back in. And I think I needed to anyway. I think she required that anyway. So I went in and I asked for testosterone. And now I knew, because I'm basically low key a doctor, not really, but
But you play one on your podcast.
I play one on my podcast. I knew that they will not prescribe testosterone. Like the FDA has not approved testosterone supplementation for women, which is some bullshit. And I mean, it's like sexism. It is
Mhm.
sexism. So,
Because our ovaries produce testosterone as well as progesterone and estrogen, just not in the amounts that men do. That's all.
so
But we do produce it.
if a man goes to the doctor feeling low energy, unmotivated, can't get it
Low
up,
libido.
he gets Viagra and testosterone. But if a woman goes to the doctor with this complaining of low libido, low energy, fatigue, they get told, sorry, that's just your age. That's just a rite of passage. That's just like what happens. Uh,
Right.
so I was ready to receive I was half expecting, because I learned that this often is the case. So I'm want the listeners to know you're often met with resistance because the FDA doesn't approve it, which means your insurance won't cover it. And they actually didn't even have it for me. So pause. Not only do your ovaries make it, not only is it natural for women to have testosterone in their bodies, just not as much as men, but we need testosterone to to hang on to muscle mass. And we know that we lose like at this stage of life, this perimenopause, menopause stage, really after the age of 40, we are losing roughly approximately 2% of our muscle mass per year, that sarcopenia. And and we know also, Nicole and I have already talked to you guys about it in 100 podcast episodes, that our muscle mass directly correlates with our longevity and our ability to fight disease and to be a disease-free vessel, our muscle mass. So I wanted testosterone because I want to slow or completely just stop muscle loss. And I mean, I mean, I lift all the time. So I, she did prescribe it. I did have to go to a compounding pharmacy. We did have to pay out of pocket. And I was prescribed a man's, not dose, because I was prescribed a tenth of a man's dose, a tenth, because they don't make it for women. So 1/10 of a man's dose of a gel that kind of comes like a stick of deodorant, and I put it around my rib cage at night before I go to bed. So my little testimonial to you, because I'm very not I'm very like disbelieving of things working. I'm like I don't just believe something works.
Cynical.
Yeah, healthy. I have like healthy cynicism, but you can't tell me like something. I don't know. I'm just, yeah, I have a healthy amount of cynicism. So I try to not like the placebo doesn't work very well on me. And then, um, but the cool thing is this is not placebo because I forgot I had done it. So at night I put the deodorant thing on my rib of this gel, this testosterone gel, and I went to sleep and I forgot I did it. And then, and like halfway through the next day, I was just like, like, whoa, I have so much energy. Like, whoa, I always am like motivated and I always have high energy. I couldn't take a nap to save my life. I sleep well at night. So I'm always go, go, go. Plus I drink caffeine in the middle of the day. It's not like I struggle with like high energy, but I just felt like over the top energy. Anyway, I still didn't put it together. Next day, same thing happens. I do my little testosterone thing at night, forgot about it because it's not part of my routine. Wake up in the morning, I'm not thinking about it, go about my day. Same thing the next day. I'm just like Tasmanian devil. And then and then I remembered. And then I correlated, oh my gosh, I have felt like crazy energy these last couple days. And so then I like put it together, like it must be the testosterone, like it worked like that. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. And that's not to say that women in perimenopause or menopause cannot build muscle mass. You can. You don't have to go on hormone optimization therapy if you don't want to, or if your labs don't indicate that you should have it, or your health history. There's various things which you kind of touched upon, estrogenic cancers.
Right.
So yeah, so
Contraindicated for some, should not.
yes, but what you would need to do, even if, let's say, and this is not medical advice, I'm just telling you what I've learned. Even if you have had breast cancer in your family history, what you need to find out from a hormone test, like a specific, there's various tests that the brand name everybody knows is the Dutch test, but there's various tests that do the same thing as the Dutch test. And basically what it does is it tells you what your estrogen metabolites are and like how you're metabolizing estrogen. And that's the important thing in estrogenic cancers. It's probably not the only important factor. So I'm not going to say that that's all you need to worry about. I'm just saying that just because you had any sort of estrogenic cancer in your family, that should not dictate whether you go on hormone optimization therapy or not. You discuss it with your doctor. I say this, to people all the time, to my husband, anyone when we have a medical conversation, what you have with your doctor, the relationship you have with your doctor, he or she is not here and you are here where they are telling you what you need to do. You are here. because no one, or maybe even here, you being higher up and than the doctor, because no one knows you better than you. Your doctor is not your equal on you. You are the expert on you.
Right.
No one knows your body like you do. Your
Yeah.
doctor doesn't, no one does. So at best, you are partners.
Yeah.
He or she is not above you or the expert on you. You are the expert on you.
That's really
So
empowering.
if you feel like you need something, you ask your doctor about it because your doctor is your trusted medical professional. If you don't trust that person, then go to someone else and ask them. If you don't like their answer, go to someone else. I have just a little side note. I won't spend too much time on it, but I have hip arthritis that I was just diagnosed with, and my doctor, I'm going to what are they called? I'm losing the word, an orthopedist.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
recommended by my physical therapist to go to an orthopedist because it's been chronic and yada, yada. Anyway, he does the normal regimented standard of care, but I got an x-ray to diagnose the arthritis is there. And it turns out I have arthritis in two places, significant in the front of my hip, and then a little calcification at the side. He started with a cortisone shot. I, said, that sounds great. It does not rebuild the joint. It just decreases the inflammation. So we're just decreasing the inflammation. Just so you understand, almost all pharmaceuticals, like almost all pharmaceutical drugs, just take care of symptoms. They do not cure a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. With the exception of antibiotics, they really don't cure anything. So cortisone is going to eliminate the inflammation and
It also is hard on joints.
Oh yeah, very. So I got a shot for the front of my hip where he said it was most significant. And then he said, in 2 weeks, you'll come back and we'll talk about the one that has the calcification. It's on the side. Now, my pain is so much less from the cortisone shot. I'm like, I don't need this on the side now. Like he wanted to do, because it's two different, it's cortisone, the cortisone shot is very localized to one area. Doesn't like take care of the, it's just like wherever you have the arthritis, and he wanted to help me with my pain on the side that he could see from the x-ray that I have. And I was like, I hardly have any more pain, and any pain I have is still the front of my hip. So I'm just giving you guys this example where I'm having this conversation. The doctor fully intended on giving me this other shot.
Oh, yeah.
The assistant walked in and she said, so we're getting you this second shot today. And I said, I want to talk to the doctor about it before, because I came fully prepared. I was like, this is not going to decrease the calcification, correct? And he said, no, it's not. It's going to eliminate the pain that the calcification is causing. And I said, well, I really don't have any pain on the side. I only had it in the front.
Yeah.
And he said,
great example.
He said, it's my advice that we know a fire is there, we put it out. And I said, well, I am not walking around in any pain right now. And if I decide I want to get it in the future,
beautiful,
I'll come back. So I'm just giving you guys that as an example that you need to kind of do these things in your head. Like, know that you're informed, know that you know what you need for yourself, what your gut instinct tells you. If the doctor says something and you feel like you're not ready to do something, you do some research. Maybe you go on that resource that Ellen talked about. I'm sure on that website there's going to be other information about testing and all of that. Also, MIDI Health is another one.
You were going to talk about MIDI.
Yeah, MIDI Health is another one. If you look, we are both listeners of Shalene's podcast. So Shalene Johnson talks about MIDI Health often and has
sponsored the Idea World Convention.
Okay, awesome. And they do work only with women, and I think it's
online.
Only women. Yeah. And so it's all telehealth, but it depends on, you would go on there and you would say what state you're in, because every state varies based on what their prescribing laws are.
Right.
And what their telehealth laws are. So you go in there, and so it just depends what state you're in,
such a great option for people that might live in Timbuktu. Like I said, when I went on, because Eugene's not a huge town, like I said, when I went on that menopause.org, there was only one provider in Eugene that had that credential, that she had done extra study to be kind of an expert on the subject, because they're not getting it in medical school. Not really.
Right.
Just like they're not learning about nutrition in medical school either, when nutrition is our number one medical remedy on planet.
Exactly. It's the cause of most chronic diseases, and the remedy of most chronic diseases is nutrition, and doctors don't get educated on it.
Sorry, dogs.
That's okay.
A lot of noise in the background. I hope that's not that obvious to
Oh, I didn't even notice. I thought you might have been coughing or something. I didn't
no,
even notice.
I covered my mouth and like yelled at my husband, like the dogs. And I
did not even notice.
Oh, I was
on
so
my
slick.
end.
I didn't even need to. It's like when you make a mistake teaching, you don't need to call it out. Nobody knew.
Nope.
Okay, so I did want to back it up to me talking about testosterone, and just also mention that you can have, there is such a thing as a woman having too much testosterone. And they did test my blood first to make sure I already wasn't like running high testosterone. And then and they're going to continue to test my labs, I think quarterly at first, and then semi-annually, and then annually, something like that. But there are terrible side effects that can happen that are not reversible. If you're overdosing on a testosterone supplement as a woman. I just wanted to throw that out there too. So
yeah. Yep, very true. And it, again, it's you talk to your doctor about it, or you determine if that. So when I talked to my doctor about my H.O.T, she asked me some questions, because I was like, I was saying, how do you know like that testosterone wouldn't benefit me because I'm on estrogen and progesterone, and I really just don't. Symptomatically, if I just want to build muscle, like if that's all I wanted, that's kind of how I expressed it,
yeah,
basically symptomatically, that's not a reason for me to get testosterone. Like
right.
she's looking at me and she's like, I know what your lifestyle is, and you're very like metabolically fit and everything. Like you don't see. Now I could do a test to see if I actually would need it, but at that point, like if I felt like very basically some symptoms of too low testosterone, similar in men and women, it's like your sex drive has drastically gone in the toilet, but you also lose motivation for things that you used to have motivation for. So you guys, as fitness instructors, that's who listens to this podcast primarily, you love working out and you love your job of being a fitness instructor. If that starts to wane in some way, notice first if it's you're not sleeping well, or just other things. If work stress, because stress is really not given enough credence in our society, I think, as a health problem. So if all of those other things checked out and are fine, and you're really like your motivation for things that you used to love is not there anymore, that's another symptom of low testosterone. Just decreased sex drive, decreased interest in things that you love, fatigue, but that's also another symptom of not sleeping enough, low estrogen, all those things.
I had one more thing I wanted to say, and then I wanted to throw to you to talk about what supplements might help women through this phase, whether they're doing their hot therapy or not doing hot therapy, what could help. I don't know if I've ever told you this, and it's not an original thought, but I think it's so perfect. I heard this podcast guest on one of our shows that we love, and she was talking about, I think it might have been, you know who I want to recommend? It is what's her name? The Resetter.
Yeah,
I like
Mindy or Mandy Peltz.
Mindy
Dr.
Mindy Peltz.
Mindy Peltz.
She's my favorite. I do listen to the Dr. Tina, Tyna, every once in a while too.
I like her too.
I like Mindy Peltz's voice. I know it's weird, but like I just like
If somebody has a voice that I don't like, I cannot listen to their
yeah, because
podcast.
a lot of times I listen to podcasts, I'm laying down or resting or something like that, or trying to sleep in or whatever. And so I actually need them to have like kind of a voice that I like. So anyway, I like Dr. Tina's content, but the voice not so much when I'm in bed. But
Which you sent me a really good podcast on testosterone with Dr. Kelly Casperson on Dr. Mindy Peltz's
oh, that was
podcast.
so good. Now, did she talk about was she the one that talked about the mustard? No,
She,
I don't think so. Okay, good. Have you heard me talk about the mustard?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Although your outfit looks a little
I
mustardy.
do look so mustardy slash banana Laffy Taffy. Look, where's my notes that we're not using?
Clearly,
Got this
same.
little onesie on Sheen. It's really cute, but it's not super comfortable. I
I
tried
love it.
teaching it today.
So the mustard.
Thanks for falling out. Okay, the mustard. So one of these guests, I wish I could remember her name, but because I would love to give credit, she just said like the women's ovaries as they start to kind of sputter and malfunction over the years, over decade, over like years, not just all of a sudden when you're 45 or all of a sudden when you're 47, but it's like they start to like, she compared it to the bottom of a mustard, the end of a mustard, how like you can squirt it and like mustard will come out, or you can squirt it and squeeze it and nothing will come out. Or
That
like
was Dr. Kelly
it
Casperson.
was,
That was her.
or like
Yeah.
nothing, 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 and then it's everywhere. And
Yeah.
and so that is what's happening, this chaos. And I think we think we're going crazy and we think there's something wrong with us and we're having all these things happen, but our hormones are going through absolute chaos. They're wreaking havoc in the body. So you amazing listeners already probably know that, but if this is new information to you, it should make you feel less crazy to know that there's just wild swings happening in your body. And I also wanted to say before I hand it to you to talk about supplements and for us to wrap up, I now in hindsight, I realize that even in my 30s, there were things every once in a while happening that were hormone related. Now I know that, you know, like for example, there were a couple of times that had that I experienced full panic, full blown panic attack, full-fledged, can't breathe, and it was happening at night trying to go to bed, just like these heat swells would happen to me at night. And I eventually kind of realized that they were related to menstrual cycle, these insane bursts of panic. And I thought at the time, oh, I have panic and anxiety disorder. Oh, I'm struggling with my mental health. But in hindsight today, I actually now know that that wasn't true. And it would have been okay if it was true. I mean, wonderful people have struggle with the mental health. I just thought I was having mental health issues, and it really wasn't. It was physiological changes in my body, just similar to like when I would have a period and be like overwhelmingly weepy about something, or there would be something that maybe happened at work when I was a manager where I was like, my emotional reaction to what was going on was wildly inappropriate for what was really going on. And the next day in the light of day, I could see it for what it really was. That was that was my hormones being wild and crazy, not me being a bad supervisor, you know?
Right.
So
Right. And that's only in hindsight you realize.
hindsight, I realized I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that in my 30s and 40s that these things were starting. And sometimes every once in a while through my 40s, every once in a while I would just have a full night of sleeplessness, toss turn all night long, toss turn, can't fall asleep. And in hindsight, I know that was that was the mustard.
Mhm.
That was the
Sputtering.
beginnings of the sputtering. That was a sputter night. So I
Yeah.
couldn't sleep all night, or I cried all night, or I couldn't breathe in panic all night. And that was just the beginnings of the sputtering. So It feels good to me to be doing something about it. It feels proactive. I feel better. I feel good with my relatively new hot girl regimen. Now I'm gonna add coconut oil though, so I'm gonna feel even
Yeah, get that coconut
better.
oil. Unrefined,
Yeah,
unrefined organic,
refined. Um,
unrefined organic.
okay, talk to us about supplements.
Okay, so I want to make a connection for people that, and I will get to supplements, but I want to make a little connection that we haven't really, it's it's very important, but it's not something people walk around thinking about. You don't have to think about it, but it's good that you know it.
Mhm.
So what happens when your ovaries are no longer producing estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, but you still have some, you still have some, you still need some, and there is some in your body and in your tissues. It's not like you have none.
Okay.
And so where is it coming from? Where it's coming from is your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands produce what you will need to function. You're not producing babies anymore, so your ovaries are done. So the adrenal glands are going to produce just what you need to basically keep you alive. So that being said, our adrenal glands are what produce our stress hormones when cortisol, epinephrine, all that stuff, all the things that you need, they are required. If you couldn't produce cortisol, you would be dead. You'd just be dead in a moment. So cortisol, although it gets a bad rap, it is required and you have to be able to produce it. So the connection I'm going to make now is that this is why we don't handle things, however you want to think about what handling means, whether it means a stressful situation in our world, in our life that used to be no problem, now upsets us, whether it's why we're not building muscle the way we used to. It's not just declining estrogen, testosterone, and a lack of sleep. It's also increased cortisol, why we're gaining weight. Blood sugar becomes dysregulated because of cortisol elevation. Why is our cortisol elevated again? Oh, because our adrenals they are working overtime. Like they are doing more than what they have been used to doing our whole lives. So they are getting, I was taught that the term adrenal fatigue is not exactly true. So I try not to use it. Getting they're getting overworked, they're doing too much work. It's more the hypothalamus pituitary gland axis that is working overtime. And that's because what I just said, the adrenal glands are now doing the job of the ovaries. Because it's like, well, why does this happen to women, right? That's why. Okay. Both sexes have adrenal glands, but now women's adrenal glands are relied upon to produce the testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone that we need to just survive. So that's why cortisol is now like, well, why am I now gaining weight in the middle? Why am I now stressed out over this? Why do I need more time to recover between workouts? That's a huge issue that you need to note and give your body permission for, and don't fight it. That's really important to maintain your fitness level currently and to build muscle going forward. So that just was a really important connection I thought I needed to make, as that is why, bottom line, it's like, yes, estrogen's tanking and all these things, but something has to pick up the slack, and that's your adrenals.
Okay, that's great.
So,
Thank you for
you're welcome.
tying
So
that.
now we will talk supplements real quick. I suggest that you don't throw spaghetti at a wall and you talk to somebody about supplementation, but there's a lot of supplements that can help with hot flashes. Like in my full script account, I have an account that would give you discounts. But there's supplements that are made specifically for fertility, specifically for perimenopause, specifically for menopause. So these supplements will have different combinations of different herbs and remedies. Nothing is going to be like a prescription hormone replacement. Okay. Right. These are subtle these are just subtle changes that can help you. They, for sure, they have research and they do help clinically with people reducing hot flashes, sleeping better, all the things, feeling more energy during the day, all the things. So I'll just name, I'm not going to give you like name brands, but these are herbs that can help you. And some of them are vitamins and one is a hormone. So there's black cohosh that you may have heard of. There's GABA, there's Vitex. These are things that kind of will help with hot flashes, will help with relaxation. GABA, I mentioned earlier, for the brain and anxiety. Maca root, phosphatidylserine. I know it's hard to say and hard to spell, but phosphatidylserine is calming for the brain. It's a lipid, which means it's a fat molecule that our brains need. Magnesium, I'm sure you've heard of, but it helps with relaxation, but it also is required for like over 300 reactions in the body. So most of the time we are depleted of magnesium. And then finally,
I just
yeah.
started ordering that from Nicole's Full Script account and doing magnesium at night before bed to help with sleep.
Oh, and I think that magnesium might have even had a phosphatidylserine because wasn't it an omega combination with magnesium? And so omegas are also, they have phosphatidylserine in them
And
as
doesn't
well.
it help you poop in the morning too, magnesium?
Yes.
That up. It helps.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
calms the system.
Yeah, because it calms. Yep. And it does help pull some water out of your system as well. And then I'm sure you've heard of melatonin. And so for people who say like, well, melatonin doesn't really help me. Well, if it doesn't help you, it means you're not deficient in melatonin, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
melatonin is a hormone. So, with caution, start small if that's something that you wanted to try and you haven't tried it yet. But again, I would suggest you don't throw spaghetti at the wall and you talk to somebody who's knowledgeable in supplementation so they can make the recommendations for you. And we can like link my Full Script site in Ellen's podcast notes.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Hey, we didn't think about confession, or at least I didn't. But
I said to my husband earlier when I was like making notes for this podcast, I was like, I need to come up with something for this podcast. And of course, like, he doesn't really know like what I do as a group fitness instructor. Like, it's just kind of funny where it's like, I kind of know what he does as an accountant. Like I can pretend, but I don't, I don't know, but it's like, it's funny as a group fitness instructor, it's like a private little world that only certain people really know what goes on.
exactly.
So he's like, well, I do have a client. I'm a personal trainer too. So he threw me a client's name that I could tell you 500 stories that are hilarious. So there's just one. It's related to me in that she's my client. So I texted her the night before a session that I had to cancel because I had a horrible migraine. I knew where it was going. It was before I found the medication that works. It was going in the direction of I was going to vomit at some point in the night, and there was no way I was going to see her. And I see her early. I see her at like 7 a.m. So I texted her and I was like, cannot do it. Just letting you know. Please let me know you saw this. Well, this happens to be a client in this day and age that she's not on her phone like us where we can't even call one another and get a phone, So, the night pretty much progressed as I suspected and all the horrible things happened. And my husband, when I did come to in the morning at some point, he was like, I think I might have heard the door open, but I thought it was Kevin, my son, leaving for work. Turned out my client had let herself in. Now, I've been seeing this woman for like 15 years and never, ever, ever am I not ready. Like, I don't need to open the door for her. She opens the door for herself. But then I go downstairs with my cup of coffee and we work out. Never, ever have I not been there. She goes downstairs. She starts like working out, like warming up. She's like, this is weird. She's not here. And she also doesn't bring her phone in with her. She went out to check her phone and then saw that
That's amazing.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yes.
So for all
great.
you group fitness instructors who are also personal trainers, you probably have had something similar happen like that, but
Oh, that is a great one. So your husband just heard her walk in, but didn't interact with her.
no, because I think he was thinking that maybe it was my son
Okay.
leaving for work because it's around the same time, so, and he was like probably getting ready for work. Like he wasn't thinking of it, that she would have been coming in.
Well, I don't have, this is like the longest podcast episode ever. I wonder if there's hopefully some of you are on a road trip right now
I
and
know,
it's still going strong. But
seriously.
I don't have a confession, but I just had a like really, really, really incredible week of classes. Uh, it started with this class 1 week ago. This is so we're sorry, we're recording this on a Tuesday. It started 1 week ago Tuesday, which is 2 days before Thanksgiving. And I just when I do a certification, you've seen it, you've been part of it. At the end of a certification, I do it's cheesy and corny, but I call it circle time, and I have everyone kind of sit in a circle, just kind of share from their heart about the day or the experience, whatever. And so I just literally decided with my Warrior Rhythm class a week ago today that I would only teach for like 45 minutes of the hour and like do a circle time at the end of class. And I asked everyone to sit in a circle and you just share where they were born. We work out together for years and years and years and don't even know this, and what they were doing for the holidays, if anything. I'm very sensitive to the fact that some people have lonely holidays. And also, what they were grateful for. And it was just like so special. It's something that we don't really do, it just made it so special. And I have this guy in class that I don't know. I've probably talked about him on the show before. He's actually a friend of mine and has been taking my classes for years, and he's very autistic. And it was so sweet on his turn. He was so ready for the question. He was so ready, and he just gave us his whole answer. And oh, it was so sweet. It was so sweet. Then the next day, Wednesday, you probably saw this online. I was invited to do a private family gathering class for a family that was getting together for the first time ever as a full group of all five children and their partners or spouses. And so it was like it was so beautiful and special, and like one of the most incredible teaching experiences I've ever had. Just I've never been to her home. I met her this year, and then I went to teach that same day at the Y, and I just having so many great feelings in my classes, all of those experiences. And I decided to kind of ask them before we actually just kind of in the like intention setting phase of rhythm. I kind of just asked people to this like shout out what they were grateful for. And there was this couple. And oh my gosh, they're like one of my favorite. They're so awesome. They actually came to the Con on the hike together. Do you remember there being
Oh,
a
yeah,
couple
it was their
there?
anniversary.
Yes, it was. Good job. Good job. Cutest couple in the world. Like they've been trying to get pregnant. And I knew that, but they announced actually their mom was in class and she's like, I'm gonna be grandma. So they announced it, and
Aw.
it was so special that we got to share that together as a class. Anyway, just my teaching heart, we're not always, we love what we do, but some seasons are tougher than others, and some, weeks are harder than others. And it just was one of the most feel good weeks of my teaching career for just those kind of various reasons. And I know that's not a confession, but
It's great though. It's nice. Very nice.
it's great. And just like a little itty bitty reminder to the listeners that just taking a second to do something a little bit different, to be a little bit more intentional than how was your Thanksgiving? The rhetorical question, made just a profound, difference. And like today, when I showed up to teach that same class, I'm like, I feel like I know these people better now, because now I know that Charles was born in Colorado, and I know that he went to Thanksgiving, he went to the coast and stayed in a yurt. Like it just changed my relationship with these people. So that's
That's
all.
great. I think I'm going to use that. What are you grateful for? Because I teach on Thursdays, I teach rhythm.
Perfect.
And so Thursday, obviously it was Thanksgiving and I didn't get to, so I could leave
Perfect.
that in.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Okay, so just remind everyone where they can find you online.
Okay, so I'm at Nicole Printon everywhere that I am. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and also we will link my full script link in there, and this way you can, see what I have to offer on full script, and that's my supplement site. And if you need to reach out, you can find me at the socials as well. And I also have a website, NicolePrinton.com.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you again for having me. It was great.
You're welcome. It was so fun. I hope everyone had a good road trip. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.